Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel, myrsilife.com. Today I am really excited to share with you a special video, which is the first in a 5-part series called Keys to RSI Recovery. So I'm recording this in December of 2021, just over a year since my computer-related RSI injuries in both of my hands. And in this blog series, my goal is to provide useful information by discussing the steps that I took during my early days on my RSI recovery journey. And specifically the steps that led to success, of course. It is a step-by-step guide to help you accelerate your recovery. This post is aimed at anyone, this video rather, is aimed at anyone who has been recently injured due to computer use and, like me, found themselves suddenly unable to use a computer like they once did. And work, especially, at a computer like they once did. In each of these 5 videos, I will discuss 3 sections or ideas. It'll include a lot of my own stories and experiences with RSI. And then at the end of the 3 sections, at the end of each video, I will provide an action plan, which are the steps and activities that I encourage you to do. The activities in the action plan are the literal changes that I made and things that I did over the past year, which when all combined over time and done in the sequence like that, led to some awesome things like success in the workplace, like pivoting my career, and good signs of recovery from this condition. So feel free to comment on this video and share your thoughts, share your feedback, share your successes along your RSI journey or progress even, and tell me whether this was helpful or not. So that's enough logistics, let's kick it off. Okay, so the first of the 5 keys that we're going to talk about, and the one that we're going to talk about in this video, is called take responsibility for your situation. This is going to be the first big and absolutely necessary step that you need to take towards recovery. So let's get into the first of the 3 sections here. And that is, so section 1 of key 1 is give yourself time to mourn. I remember with just, crazy clarity, the cycles of physical pain and the resulting emotional blowback that I felt during the first 8 or 9 weeks, 2.5 months following my RSI injury. My hands, especially my forearms and my thumbs, these tendons here, and my right index finger were in constant aching pain that drained my energy throughout every single day, and it, kept me up at night. I feared constantly that I would lose my career, that years of effort and toil and all the things that I'd earned in my career were in vain. The anxiety just really put my heart rate on a roller coaster day and night, causing, disrupting sleep, causing nausea, causing pain, neck pain. Actually, I developed neck pain thanks to the stress from my hand pain. And of course, moodiness. I felt a lot of anger and shame towards myself. I felt very angry with myself for allowing this to happen. I also felt salty and resentful towards work. I'd never experienced these kind of feelings where I was just no longer, happy with the work that I was doing. I was really resentful, and work days were just pointless and unbearable. So after, those 2 months, I took time away from work. I actually asked my employer, hey, could I have time off bumped up against our holiday break, and which netted me about 4 weeks total. I couldn't get time off from the workers' comp doctor, for other reasons. And so fortunately my employer came through for me and granted me the time off that I asked for. So during that time off, my mind was a lot less distracted. I was able to reflect and look more objectively at the situation. And I clearly saw that my career, as I knew it, my career as a corporate finance consultant was essentially over, or at least the way my career as I saw it, right, in my mind. Was over. And I acknowledged that my lifestyle would basically need to be completely remodeled. There's nothing that I could do to go back to my life as it was before I was injured. And so I just kept thinking about this, and as these thoughts were surfacing, all the anger and shame and fear and the turmoil just kind of stopped and turned into just this sadness. And I was just really sad and lethargic, but I wasn't, mad at myself anymore. I wasn't just, It was a different feeling. It was still kind of the same external symptoms, but yeah, it was just sadness instead. So, but what was surprising about this new period, although I was still experiencing frequent and intense hand pain, I did feel relieved. You know, I said to myself, there's some big problems here. It's going to take a lot of hard work before things get back to normal, or you know, I don't even know what normal was. That was a cathartic thought, and it was a gratifying thought. And as the weeks passed, I started experiencing fewer episodes of sleeplessness. I stopped, you know, having episodes of panic about my career, and I realized that acknowledging that situation allowed me to mourn, and that was an important step towards my journey. That was the sadness, was just, oh, the situation is so much different. I have no clue what to do. I'm sad about it, and I was pretty sad. So these emotional experiences and cathartic realizations would not have happened if I hadn't taken time off. If you recently contracted RSI, you need to start planning a period away from work. I recommend at least 3 weeks. And you should let yourself, during this time off, or even starting now, let yourself feel however you want about it. Don't bottle anything up. This time off will bring tons of other benefits. But one of the most important things being some newfound emotional awareness and emotional release. And thanks to that time that you've given yourself and allowed yourself to mourn. So let's talk about the second part of the section, take responsibility for your situation. Let go of the past. So as we just discussed, newly injured RSI sufferers are very likely to be experiencing a lot of negative emotions. In my notes here, I called it a deluge of negative emotions. Both of those, you know, that deluge of negative emotions is both conscious and unconscious. In my conscious brain, I realized my emotions, you know, were a lot of blame towards myself, resenting myself, feeling sorry for myself. Already kind of talked about that earlier. But what's new about this one, and where it comes into letting go of the past, is how my brain rationalized these thoughts and justified this negative attitude and this blame towards myself. And my brain would bring up specific events from the past and be like, remember this? That's why you deserve everything that's happening to you. Remember this other thing that you did in your past that was a big mistake? Yeah, that's why you deserve everything bad that's happening to you. And it sounds kind of ridiculous when you put it like that, but that's what brains want to do. So these, of course, these thoughts and negative emotions are pointless. They damage one's self-esteem. They damage your quality of life. Ruminating has physical effects. It raises your blood pressure, it raises your stress, prevents quality sleep. Stress, is an exacerbating factor in recovery time from RSI, and it just in general increases one's exposure to the risk of getting RSI. And that was just that, stress was really, really bad when I was having those thoughts. So strategies. One strategy that helped me let go of the past and quiet down those ugly down-talking voices was the practice of mindfulness. And to those of you who don't know what that is or are curious or want to get educated on it, there's some books I'll put in the description below, which I highly recommend. Mindfulness helps your conscious brain notice your own thought patterns, your own moods, emotions, body language, physical body sensations, and the person can identify a situation or sensation and is able to choose how to deal with it by accepting it, by changing it, or by avoiding it. In many cases, of course, there's only one way to deal with it. Like, for example, everyone must accept death. You cannot change death. You cannot avoid it, so you must accept it. There's tons of other examples, but even in those cases when there's only one path, mindfulness illuminates that path, and it allows the mind to accept that present, that reality. Mindfulness, of course, is not a cure for anything. It is not a cure for the effects of past trauma especially, but it can help you take control of your emotions and your reactions to emotional stimuli. So that was really helpful for me for the reasons I mentioned above. Meditation specifically is a fantastic strategy for fast-tracking your mindfulness practice. I won't go into detail about how to meditate here. There's another great video in the description below for a channel called Improvement Pill, which really does a great job explaining about how to meditate in a quick video. So Take steps to become more mindful of yourself, and you'll hopefully find yourself less stressed, more accepting of yourself, and living in the past less often. Okay, we've made it to section 3 of video 1. Let's go. This one is called Accepting Your Reality. So, RSI suddenly makes you face some harsh realities. The first one is that you have a painful condition in your hands called RSI. And in my case, I basically consider it chronic. You did this to yourself by neglecting your health. Or if you didn't neglect your health, then you are just unlucky and you are predisposed to RSI from birth. Either way, you need to recover from it, and it's not going to take care of itself. If you've been suffering this from a long time, you know it's not going to take care of itself. Another harsh reality is you cannot work as effectively, or you cannot work at all. The bills still need to be paid. And every day we, feel the burden of recovery from RSI or RSI itself. Another harsh reality that RSI just kind of throws at you is that nobody really has your back, not in the long term, and you must get what you need through your own means. This flicked on for me when I first visited my workers' comp doctor. I was genuinely surprised, pretty naively, that when he explained to me that his role in my treatment isn't to help me recover from this condition. His role in my treatment is to get me back to computer work as quickly as possible. And that was just a really, really stressful for me to hear. It didn't look like I had a path to recovery if I relied on this person. My employer too was sympathetic to my face, but through their actions, they showed an ignorance and kind of a disregard for my condition. So your boss, your HR representative, your workers' comp insurer, your workers' comp doctor, your occupational therapist, your other therapists and doctors, they're, going to claim to be motivated to help you and financial, in ways they are, but they really have their own best interest in mind. And this doesn't mean that they're bad folks. They're probably very decent and good, well-meaning folks. But remember, they don't have your best interest in mind by their very nature. And things fall through the cracks, and you should always read the fine print, ask a ton of questions when talking to these folks, be responsible for everything that's happening in this network of people around you whose job it is to help you recover from RSI. And you need to be in charge of your recovery. You need to continue to earn a living. So in the short term, that means you need to work towards mastering alternative input tools like Dragon Dictation and the Foot Mouse. Nobody else knows exactly how you feel. Nobody else is as well equipped as you to accomplish your goals. Fortunately, accepting your situation and taking responsibility for all of that, looking at all of those challenges in the face and say, that's just the way it is and I'm going to deal with it. Those are an immensely emotional, freeing, and cathartic thoughts. Again, just like in the last step when we let go of the past. It's a powerful step towards accelerating your recovery. Another big part of accepting your situation is being easy on yourself, being forgiving on yourself. If you have computer-related RSI, then it happened by accident. It's truly nobody's fault. It's not your doctor's fault. It's not your employer's fault. It's not your fault. You are allowed to be upset. You are allowed to feel however you want about your situation. And when you deny those feelings and you hide them from yourself and others, you deny yourself the ability to see your situation as it truly is. Acknowledging your human emotions and acknowledging your new situation allows you to move forward through RSI recovery with more enthusiasm and more speed. Okay, let's wrap up this video with our action plan. I have 5 things for you to write down today in your journals. You need to, step 1, take time off work if you have not already since your injury. Take at least several weeks. Number 2, start keeping a journal. Write down your ideas, your stresses, your progress towards your goals, even just your random thoughts for 10 to 20 minutes a day. Number 3, practice meditation for at least a few minutes a day. Find a quiet place to sit, set a timer, close your eyes, and just pay attention to your breathing. Number 4, practice noticing yourself. So what do I mean by that? At least a couple of times a day, certainly at least once a day, and you can put notifications in your phone calendar if necessary. As you're going about your daily usual business, just pause and ask yourself a handful of questions. And ask yourself, how am I feeling right now? Why do I feel that way? How does my body feel right now? Am I relaxed or tense? Do I feel tenseness in my shoulders? Do I feel tenseness in my jaw? Do I feel tenseness in other parts of my body? So that's number 4. Number 5, you gotta let some weeks or months go by after this. Ask yourself after a few weeks whether you notice any changes in your emotions, moods, and mental patterns, and write down changes or not. So that concludes video 1 of our series. Thank you so much for watching. Best of luck, and we'll see you in the next video.